Okay.
The only thing I could find was the Energy Q.
Okay. All right. We'll just do that one, and then I'll just do the.
Okay, I'll do that one first. Is
yeah,
that
and
right?
I'll just do the Roof RX in the bottom one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we are streaming. We're not plugged into the system because it creates a buzz. So we can only, viewers can only hear what we say in the room here. And we're about 3 minutes out. Blue Falcon Aerial.
Mm-hmm. He's actually got some pretty interesting ideas.
Oh, good.
He, I think, has some ideas of creating a national network. So we'll see.
Well, I enjoyed that Fortified seminar.
Yeah, we can
Here.
talk about that some. Talk about
Yeah.
what you learned, and
Yeah.
I did get the early release on the 2025 standard, and so the two biggest changes on that I've got we can talk about. So oh my God.
Can't afford eggs, but
Oh,
by golly,
my
buy this
God.
watch, buy this $10,000 guitar.
Oh my God. Well, surely it is apparent that the only thing that matters to people is their pocketbook.
Yeah.
Nothing else. They can excuse everything else because of their pocketbook. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I sent Langford a long letter and I said, I just would like for someone to tell me, as a Christian, and someone who considers myself to have some morals and some values, and you present yourself that way, Mr. Langford, you tell me how we can walk in and vote for everything that we don't believe in.
Yeah.
And I know
Alright.
it's on both sides.
Yeah. We're about 30 seconds out.
It's just frustrating.
Huh. Why are we not there?
You got any Thanksgiving music?
Is there such a thing?
Turkey trot?
Broadcasting live from the astounding Tyler Media Studio D in Oklahoma City, it's McRoof Talks Insurance on KOKC, AM 1520, FM 95.3. I'm Rick Allen Lippert here with restoration specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCollum.
Good morning, sir.
HAAG-certified roofing inspector Scotty McCollum has the day off.
He's AWOL.
Uh-oh. Running man Eric Yandel is the wizard on the other side of the glass.
We're doing good. Hey,
Hey.
are you turkey trotting this next week, or you are? You okay?
Hey, you took in a very important football game last night, didn't you?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeehaw!
I never heard of a Thomas Terrier.
It's north of Weatherford.
What class is that? Oh, wow. Good game. Wow, that's cool. Hey!
All right. So Eric will answer your phone calls, ladies and gentlemen, when you call 405-478-1520. We are live streaming the show today on the McRoof Talks Insurance YouTube channel. You can also hear us anywhere in the US of A on iHeartRadio. Just search for KOKC. Now, Act 1 of the show will start as usual with our trivia question and some other interesting tidbits, including the word of the week. That number again to answer the trivia question, get ready, write this down, or to just ask a question, 405-478-1520. Now, in Act 2, we'll visit on the phone with Chris Ganera, a drone guy from Blue Falcon Aerial. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will be.
And we'll hear Scotty's view from the rooftop this week. Scott tells the story of Johnny putting on, what does Johnny, what did Johnny do?
Johnny just wants to know what color those glasses are.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that a little bit.
Then in Act 3, we'll take your calls, plus we'll have some After the Storm tips brought to you by Roof RX, and we'll wrap up with Dad's Wisdom brought to you by Energy Q. And coming back from breaks, we'll have some genuinely obscure historical trivia. Oh, I have some good stuff for you today. Now, the lawyer, you're not going to believe this, Scott. The lawyer joined me in the pool this morning as I was swimming laps to remind me that S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 8000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial
That
roofing.
lawyer, he is something else.
I'm telling you, his backstroke is better than mine. And that just kind of ticked me off.
Hey, Eric, before we forget about the Thomas Terriers, I made a note to myself. Now, on Thursday, when I'm watching the Westminster Dog Show, I'm going to try to find out what a Thomas Terrier looks like. Okay. Oh, wow.
Huh, how about that? What does their terrier character look like?
Okay.
Maybe a little Yorkie or something?
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, so our trivia question. Scott, you want to take this?
Sure, I'll take it. And Rick, you spent some time at a Fortified seminar this week. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So here's the question for today. Which of these is not a requirement for an IBHS Fortified Roof designation? Which of these is not a requirement? A qualified foundation system. B, deck nailed with ring shank nails. C, a sealed roof deck. D, underlayment under the drip edge. And E, proper to-code ventilation. Which of these is not a requirement to achieve a fortified roof designation?
If you think you know the answer, give us a call, 405-478-1520. Now, I want to ask you, what the item A, qualified foundation system, what does that mean? What does that mean referring to the roof? I don't know if it means the foundation to the house.
Well, no, we're not going to talk.
ground.
We're not going to talk about this.
Okay.
And give away the answers to the trivia question.
Okay.
But it does seem a little unusual that we'd be talking about a roof designation, and we're talking about a foundation.
Okay.
I don't
All
know.
right.
I don't
So,
know. What's the winner going to get?
Winner gets 2 free tickets to any Carpenter Square Theater production this season. We open this coming Friday night, day after Thanksgiving. It's called Ken Ludwig's The Game's Afoot, or Homes for the Holidays. It's a murder mystery farce set in 1936. A Broadway actor, William Gillette, who was a real person, has invited his cast, his company, to his Connecticut home to celebrate the holidays 2 weeks after an assassination attempt on him.
Wow.
But he's okay, and there are surprise visitors, and then there's secret room to hide the body. What body? Where'd the body go?
All kinds of shenanigans.
Yeah, so it's, in theater terms, it's referred to as a bump and run.
Gotcha.
It's a farce, a fast-paced farce.
Question for you. The mystery dinner theaters and things, do those still exist?
I
Are those
believe there
still-
are some folks doing those, yeah. I
Really?
haven't been to one in a long time. I used to participate in one at the Stone Lion Inn in Guthrie years ago.
I was going to say, didn't they, up in
Yeah.
Guthrie there used to be one.
Yeah.
Do they still do that?
I really don't know.
I
The
don't know
the woman who ran that has passed away.
Uh-huh.
I don't recall if her sons are continuing that or
Gotcha.
not.
Gotcha. Huh.
But it was a lot of fun back in the day.
Well, I can tell you folks that don't know anything about Carpenter Square Theater, whenever you go down there, you're going to have a great time. So
Well, thank you.
It is a lot of fun.
We've built a place I'm very proud of, and it's very comfortable, and lots of leg room, and a drink rail for your cups.
We won't talk about how many millions of dollars and how many years it took to do it, but anyway.
Yeah, let's not get into that. That's a whole nother.
That's
a whole nother show.
yeah, exactly.
All right, so back to the trivia question: which of these is not a requirement for an IBH fortified roof designation? A, a qualified foundation system. B, a deck nailed with ring shank nails. C, a sealed roof deck. D, underlayment under the drip edge. Or E, proper to code ventilation. If you think you know the answer, give us a call, 405-478-1520. All right, our word of the week looks to me like an oxymoron.
It is, in the way that it is actually used in my world, in construction, in roofing, in people's kind of working their way through to making decisions about things, it does seem to be an oxymoron. So value engineering is a systematic and organized approach to providing the necessary functions in a project at a lower cost. Okay?
So, in other words, design it to do the bare minimum as cheaply as you can make it.
Well, there are a number of different definitions and consequences of value engineering. Okay? Part of the things that don't really get understood and contemplated is, if you're going to undertake value engineering, someone has to establish what is value.
Right.
Okay? Value engineering is relating to cost. Cost can be defined. Value has to be defined by the end user.
Okay.
Okay? If you're going to be, for instance, in a home and you want that home to perform for you for a period of 5 or 10 years, the things that you value that you might need to do in maintaining, repairing, or improving that home, you have got a 5 to 10 year window in mind. Okay, so you're placing value on those things that you would do is all relative to the amount of time, okay, that you expect to enjoy the benefit of that.
Sure.
If someone says, I'm going to live in this house until they carry me out in a box, do you not think that they would place a different value on those same things that you're only looking to last for 5 or 10 years? Okay, so in value engineering, unfortunately, we don't look at it from the standpoint of the lifetime value. What is the lifetime? Whose lifetime?
Right.
Okay, and so value engineering typically ends up being lowest price,
Right.
okay, without consideration to the consequences of that. And that's kind of what we're fighting against and kind of what we're bumping up against in this whole, the concepts we talk about all the time of let's build it better. You know, let's build better roofs. Let's build better structures. Let's build better homes and buildings and everything else. Let's build it better from day one, okay? And to my way of thinking, the true value in things is over the life of what it is that you've spent that money on.
Right.
Okay. And when we start talking about what's the lowest price insurance policy, what's the lowest price roof, what's the cheapest way we can do this, we're not accurately reflecting the consequences of all those decisions. We're basically making that decision based strictly on the pocketbook. And that is not, in my mind, that's not what the true cost of a product or a system or an assembly is. And it certainly is not going to get you where you want to get from a value standpoint. You know that if you bought a Yugo, you were probably going to have to replace it in 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Okay. If you took that same money and maybe 50% more and you bought a low-end Chevrolet or Ford or General, whatever it was,
Right.
you probably could have expected that investment to last you for 10 years,
Exactly.
twice as long.
Yeah.
Okay, so half as much more money, but it's going to last you twice as long. How do you perceive the value in that?
Yeah. It's a complicated
it is.
issue.
It's very complicated, but when you start talking about value engineering, unfortunately, the only way that I hear that being used today is about that means we're going to drive the cost down.
Right.
And that's fine. You know you're going to drive the cost down, but you cannot sacrifice the performance in driving that cost down.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go to the phones. Robert is on the line. Hey, Robert, we have a minute to talk to us here. Are you calling about the trivia question? Yeehaw!
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Robert, that is so great. I appreciate you sharing that. I remember I used to hunt an awful lot out in far west Texas where there's an awful lot of those little, Class A and where they play 6-man football and things like that. And literally, like you're talking about, you would pull your car or your truck right up to the sideline, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
sit there and watch the game and
Yeah.
just have the greatest time. I mean,
I saw that just a few weeks ago in Monument Valley, Utah.
oh yeah,
Pulled in
Oh,
on a
yeah.
Friday night next to the high school, and there were all these cars shining their lights on the field
Oh,
to
man.
help with the inadequate lighting. Hey, Robert, thank you so much. We got to take a
Appreciate
break
you
now.
listening, Robert. Have a great weekend. Happy
Thanks so
Thanksgiving
much.
to you, sir.
And we will come back here in just a couple of minutes, and we'll talk to Chris Gannara from Blue Falcon Aerial about drones.
All
That'll be
right.
fun. You're listening to McRoof Talks Insurance on KOKC, AM 1520, FM 95.3. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. He's Restoration Specialist and Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCollum. We're live streaming on our YouTube channel, and we're also on the iHeartRadio app. We'll be right back. McRoof Talks Insurance, back on the air for Act 2 of today's show. On this date in 1897, the portable pencil sharpener was patented by American inventor John Lee Love. Also on this date in 1921, President Warren G. Harding signed the Willis-Campbell Act. Now, you may not be familiar with the Willis-Campbell Act. You might recall that it's also known as the Beer Emergency Bill. And what this did was it forbade doctors from prescribing beer or liquor for medicinal purposes. Oh, my goodness. And America has gone downhill ever since. And then also on this date in 1936, oh, man, legendary Delta Blues,
Wow.
Robert Johnson, the father of the blues,
Man.
his first recording session at the Gunter Hotel in San Antonio, Texas,
Wow.
and this was the song he recorded, Terraplane Blues. Man, give me this kind of music. I love it.
Yeah.
I
love
just
it.
love it.
Yeah.
All right, so on the phone, we have Chris Gennara from Blue Falcon Aerial. Scott, I'll let you take it over from here.
Chris, how you doing this morning? Doing great, doing great. You didn't call to answer the trivia question, did you? Okay, all right. Well, we're out of our league and probably not certified for the altitude that you operate at. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Blue Falcon Aerial? Tell us what you guys are all about and what you do in the marketplace here. Sure. Well, I got a question for you. You and I know there's bad actors in every industry. There's bad actors out there in all aspects of what we do in storm restoration. There are a lot of people out there that claim to be drone experts and be able to provide information, but the information is not necessarily being used for the purposes that you and I might want to use it for. Right. Mm-hmm. Got you. So basically, you're offering your service directly to the homeowners, or you offer your service to roofing contractors. Kind of tell me how somebody enters your universe. Got you. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Got you. Got you. Yeah, there's a lot of things about the drone technology that are really interesting to me. There are things that I think that we can use the technology and embrace that to enhance what we actually offer to our clientele. We take hundreds, if not 1,000 or more photographs of our roof installs and things. But one of the things that we have not been doing, other than on commercial jobs, is having the drone fly when we're done. And I think that's something that we can add into it. I think that the periodic inspections that we try to get people to understand. You don't buy your car and not change the oil and have your vehicle serviced. A roof should be the same kind of thing. A roof should be inspected periodically and have periodic maintenance and repairs that are done on it so that it actually fulfills its intended purpose. And I can see the drones being a great benefit in those follow-up inspections as well. You're exactly right. The show, and we talk about this week in and week out, is always about let's raise the bar. Let's elevate things to the point where we're employing. People are in this world in construction about building codes, and we talk all the time about how building codes are the minimal acceptable standard. And even if something was built to code, that's still okay. So great, you built it to the minimal acceptable standard, and for very, very little more money and a whole lot more value, you could have built it differently, something that would have served your purposes long term. So that's what we talk about. That's what we're about. I saw something in your website about the solar surveys. Tell me a little bit about that. Okay. Right. 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 Yeah, we've got some new things that are coming for McRoof. We have our Solstice, which is an integrated solar shingle from Certainteed that will be installed in conjunction with our Certainteed Integrity roof systems, where our clients who have us install a new roof and a solar system, they will have one manufacturer, Certainteed, multi-billion-dollar, 125-year-old company in the United States of America, 350-year-old company in Europe, standing behind their installation and their product, and have McRoof here locally with the highest level of credentials available in the industry, standing behind our workmanship with our lifetime warranty. If we touch it, we own it. It's ours. So we think that that's going to be a game changer in the marketplace for people. To be able to have an entire roof system, including solar, that is warranted by one major manufacturer and one premier contractor. So that's something that we're introducing next spring at our home show. I can see a lot of places where Johnny, my solar lead, and you guys could work together in the way that we do our initial assessments and surveys and package our information together for people. So that's really exciting. I have seen over the years, I can't really keep up with all this, Chris. I don't know. I can't give you a date in time when the drones started entering our insurance restoration space. I'm going to guess probably what, 8 or 10 years ago, maybe, or has it been longer than that? Right. Yep. Got you. Hmm. Got you. Well, I think the initial introduction of drones into our space, we had insurance companies that were using them, and I'm just going to make a blanket statement, and I'm sure that there are situations out there where it was not actually used for that purpose. But generally speaking, the insurance companies use drones to deny roof claims. Okay, that's how the drones were being used. Every inspection we would get that was a drone inspection was a denial. We would go out there, put boots on the roof, so to speak, and do our qualified inspection with a HAAG-certified inspector or a licensed adjuster, find the damage and document that, and have to work through the process with the insurance companies of getting that original decision overturned and things moving in the right direction for the consumer. Which is theoretically the insurance company and I as a contractor should have the same goal, which is to take care of that consumer who has paid their premiums and purchased that contract. So, and then contractors, there were a lot of shady contractors out there flying drones around and telling people to file claims who had no business filing a claim. So it kind of went both ways. I think that the idea of dealing with a company that has vision, mission. You guys are all, you're a veteran-owned company. You guys have all served our country. We thank you very much for that. You've got the values and the integrity to use this technology to serve the consuming public, and that's what we should all be about. It's what we can equip people to be able to do for themselves with the technology that we have available to us. Right, right. Well, Chris, I want to ask you a couple other things real quick before we go to our next break. Can you tell me, do you guys have any capabilities in terms of the infrared or the moisture scans and things like that in some of our flat roofs? Have you got that capability? Right. Yeah. If you can do the scans and provide the data, then we have a footprint. We have a roadmap, so to speak, of where we need to go with the boots on that roof and start doing our taking our core samples or looking for the areas where that moisture could have been getting into that particular area of the roof and things like that. So that's all very, very helpful. Well, you don't charge homeowners for the service you provide. Tell me how that works. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got you. So if a consumer, for instance, has you come out and do a report for them, and for whatever reasons they do not want to move forward either with an insurance claim, getting connected with a contractor or anything of that type, they never get a bill from you guys. Yeah. Yeah, so they've got valid information that they can use with their insurance company, and probably circle back around to you at some future point in time, I hope, and end up doing the work that they need to get done to take care of themselves, protect their family and their everybody in their home. So anyway. Well, it's an abundant universe, Chris, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of people in business lose sight of, and we try to make sure that we remind ourselves day in and day out. Every time the phone rings, somebody gives us the opportunity to do anything for them. It's an opportunity to either deepen or begin a relationship with them. And make sure that they know that we care about them and we're taking care of them. How would people get in touch with you if somebody out there wanted an inspection, Chris? Okay. Okay, Chris, I appreciate very much you spending 20 minutes with us this morning. We've enjoyed talking to you. I'm going to visit with you some more next week and make connections with you and Johnny, my solar lead, and we'll see where that takes us on down the road. I appreciate your time very much. Thank you. You too.
Chris Ganera, Blue Falcon Aerial, talking with Scott McCollum on McRoof Talks Insurance here on KOKC AM 1520 FM 95.3. We'll be back with Act 3 of the show today in just a little bit with some very obscure historical trivia. We'll also have our view from the rooftop. We'll bump that down to Act 3. We'll be back in a flash.
Folks, it's almost Thanksgiving. Wintertime is coming. If you have not had that roof inspected by a qualified roof inspector, or maybe even had Chris fly his drone over your property, the time to do that is now. We need to get you checked out, make sure that you know exactly where you stand, what your issues are, if any, on your roof before wintertime gets here. The time that we see the most leak calls, the time that we see the most problems with roofs is during the winter time when there's a layer of ice on top of your roof or heavy, heavy frost that is starting to melt and thaw and go places you don't want it to go. Give us a call today. Call Carly at 405-877-7663. We'll start with your qualified roof inspection by a HAAG-certified roof inspector. We'll give you an estimate if you need any repairs done. And if you do, in fact, need to have your roof replaced, we will guide you down that path towards a resolution with your insurance company. Call Carly today at 405-877-7663. Time is short.
McRoof Talks Insurance, back on the air for Act 3 of today's show on KOKC, AM 1520, FM 95.3. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. He's restoration specialist at Hall of Fame remodeler Scott McCollum. Hey, Scott, did you ever drop a dime into a jukebox?
I sure did.
Well, on this date, in 1899,
Oh my gosh.
1899,
Amazing.
the first jukebox was presented in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
1899. All right, and then quite a few years later, 1936, the first issue of Life magazine
Wow.
was
Yep.
created.
I remember Life magazine as
Big.
a boy. They're big,
Yeah.
huge magazine.
Yeah.
Always the cover was always just,
Wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah, my bride is featured in a what they call a double truck spread. In other words, a photo over 2 pages of her riding the Sooner Schooner
Oh yeah.
at the game of the century,
Gotcha.
OU Nebraska 1971. Oh my
Gotcha.
goodness gracious! Life magazine. So she,
Wow.
calls herself a centerfold.
Oh.
On this date in 1945, most U.S. wartime rationing of foods, including meat and butter, ended. The wartime rationing, most of it, ended. Then on this date in 1970, George Harrison, formerly of the Beatles, released his single My Sweet Lord in the United States. Of course, later on he was taken to court for copyright infringement and ended up paying some money because somebody thought it sounded a little too much like He's So Fine. It took them a while to get there, and I don't know. He ended up paying some money. And then sadly, on this date in 1982, the FCC dropped their limits on the duration and frequency of television ads. So there was a lot of deregulation of broadcasting.
Is that why we now have 25 minutes of commercials in a supposedly
In an hour-long-
60-hour
Yeah.
60-minute show?
Exactly. It's also why we no longer have equal time. Anyway, let's get back to roofing.
Yeah,
shall we?
let's get back to it.
All right,
We're
so
never going to cover what we got for today.
You invited me, and I attended the Fortified seminar
Yeah.
this past Monday on your birthday, and that was very informative.
What did you learn?
I learned that the primary takeaway was how easy and relatively inexpensive it is to fortify one's roof,
Yeah.
to make it so much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Less susceptible
Yep.
to wind and wind damage. Mainly, it's mainly wind damage. The company, the IBHS, that facility, that testing facility they built
Right.
with the big wall of fans, where they
Huge
could
fans.
generate
Hundreds of miles an hour.
150 mile an hour winds
Right.
going through this big barn,
And inches of rain per hour simulated.
where these houses that they built in there to normal standards
Yep.
would just be torn apart.
Absolutely.
And how a house built to fortified standards
Had
suffered
minimal, if any, damage.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and it's so simple, and it bogs my rational mind why this isn't done as a matter of course.
Well, and you said it, Rick. If you saw that entire structure blown out
away.
of the other end of the building.
Yes.
Okay, because there was a failure in a wall, in a garage door or a window or an entry door or something failed.
Yes.
And when that happened, the entire
whole thing
building was gone.
Truly blown away.
Exactly. Exactly.
And when one thinks that, oh, that could have been my house with all of my possessions just blown away.
The one that I perked up at was when they were talking about the roof, and they had a roof that was had what we call hurricane straps, where the rafters were attached to the walls with a metal strap. Okay, we call them hurricane straps, and that strap held the rafter to the wall. And they had done this testing with 150 or 60 mile an hour winds and everything else going on, and that roof sat on top of that house forever.
Yeah.
They went in and cut the straps,
Right.
and
turned on the fan again.
Turned on the fans, and did he say in 3 minutes or something
Something
like that? The roof was completely out the other end
the
of the building.
roof.
The
house
entire
was
roof.
the roof intact, blown out.
Exactly.
Oh gosh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and you talk about roofs, and that's what we talk about, because that's who we are, what we do. But I want people to think in terms of the entire structure. We live in the Hail Belt and Tornado Alley, and people should be looking at the very common sense, relatively inexpensive things that they could be doing in their structures, whether it's a remodel or you're retrofitting or you're building new, and do these things on the front end. They showed you in the videos how a garage door failure or a impact failure in a window, okay, where you don't have properly rated glass glazings, garage doors, entry doors, failures in that one space is going to ultimately destroy the rest. And even if it doesn't destroy it, it's going to let all the water in.
Right.
And that's where you go.
And that's where the dollars start adding up. The
that's
weak
when
link.
That's when we talk about the concept on fortified roof. We don't want your roof to blow off, your shingles or your tile or your steel or whatever. We don't want it to blow off. But if it does and you're fortified, you're going to have next to no water penetration in your home.
I know.
And you're not going to have your deck come off, because your deck is fastened in a way that it's not going to come off.
It can't come off. And it's not that much more expensive.
It's not.
You covered the cost in last week's show, and it added, I think I recall you estimating 16% or something
like
to
that.
a square.
Something like that. Well, and you're getting up to a 42% discount from your homeowners association.
Yeah. So I mean,
it makes no sense whatsoever. So they talked at the Fortified meeting, and thank you for coming, by the way. They talked at the meeting about the new 2025 standards were going to be published.
Okay.
Well, I got the early release on those yesterday, and I didn't take time to go through, but I scanned through kind of highlights. The major changes as respects 2025 and going forward, and it won't be enforced until the end of 2025. But if anyone knows that they've made changes that are better, why would you not start right now? So the two major things: the attachment of the deck itself. Okay, the attachment of its deck itself. We're in an inland zone, so we were considered high wind and hail, which is different from the coastal zone or the hurricane zone. Okay, their nailing pattern on the decking was 4 inches. Our nailing pattern on the decking was 6 inches. They have now said, forget about that. We're gonna make it all the same. So now our nailing pattern is 4 inches, just like the hurricane zone.
So it adds a few more nails, but it adds so much more security.
Well, we talked about just the difference in a ring shank and a regular nail.
Yes.
is more than doubling of the holding capacity of that nail.
You can't pull a ring shank nail out. So you have to cut it off.
So that's one. Then the second thing is, it used to be that you could have a roofer who was not a fortified roofer, okay, install your roof, and as long as it was done to the standards and the evaluator gathered all the information, IBHS accepted it, you could still be issued a fortified designation for your roof. That is no longer the case.
Okay.
Now, everyone who wants a fortified designation must have a fortified roofer and a fortified evaluator.
Okay.
Okay. There's no more of this not having someone who has been through the credentialing process for the roofing entity installing your roof and getting it designated
Sure.
by fortified.
That makes sense.
So that makes sense as well. There's some other changes in there, but those are the two big changes, the things that people in Oklahoma will see immediately. So,
Well, let's go up on the roof and see what it looks like up there. In
wow.
today's view from the rooftop, Johnny is up there and asking the homeowner now just what color are those glasses?
He's asking the adjuster.
The adjuster.
He says,
What-
"Hey,
what-
Mr. Adjuster," when he gets out of his truck, he's walking up the driveway, and Johnny's going, "Hey, Mr. Adjuster, what kind of glasses do you have on today?" We're kind of being tongue-in-cheek. This is one of those that we've talked about some over the last 3 to 6 months. We've had one of our worst-performing insurance companies that has just denied and denied and denied and denied, and we have done everything short of throwing somebody off a roof or taking their keys or something until they did the right thing. Anyway, so we finally prevailed to get, I think, a third inspection.
Okay.
Which you never get.
Ah.
Okay. So Johnny was going out to meet the adjuster, and so I thought, if this doesn't go the way that we know that it should go, then we're going to have to go to some next steps, which are going to be legal more than likely. And I want to be able to talk in the first person about what happens today. So I went.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just sitting there on the driveway, and Johnny and I are visiting a little bit, and the adjuster drives up. And I kind of looked at him and thought, man, I think I know that guy. Okay. So we got to talking a little bit, and it finally dawned on me. And so we made the connection about how we knew each other and where we had worked together on this huge claim and all that kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, Jim, I'm here because, to be honest with you, we have not been getting the results that we feel like we should be getting from a lot of your company's personnel out in the field. And we feel like they don't know what they're looking at, they're inexperienced, they're not well trained, they have bad attitudes, all of those kinds of things.
Right.
I said, but now that you're here, Jim, I don't need to be here. Because I know you're going to do the right thing. And I got in my truck and I left.
I was just going to ask.
I got in my truck and I left.
And did Jim
and
satisfy you?
And I texted Johnny. I said, Johnny, here's what I told Jim, because Johnny was up at the house. We were down in the
Okay.
I said, this is what I told Jim. And I said, I guarantee you, you're going to get a different result. So I texted Johnny in an hour or two, said, how'd it go? He said, well, maybe could have gone a little better, could have gone a lot worse. And I said, just let Jim take care of it. I said, I'm telling you right now, you can tell your client that this is going to be a positive outcome. He said, well, I don't think I'll tell him that right now. I said, okay, I understand. So 3 days later, Friday afternoon, Johnny texts me and says, wow. And I says, isn't it amazing what the different outcome is when you get someone on a roof doing an inspection who, number one, knows what damage is, number two, understands the insurance company's duty to a client, okay, and number three, is not afraid to write the report and send it to his manager or someone above him and say, this is what we need to do.
Right.
Okay? And the outcome is, after having half a roof paid for the last year and a half, we now have
Got
the
the whole
full
thing.
roof paid for.
All right. Well, we need.
So
now-
those are rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, there we go. All right, after the storm. Very quickly here, we're running out of time.
Okay, well, we just talked about after the storm stuff because it is definitely after the storm. This is coming on winter time. We need to get that inspection done. Right now, our primary focus is on making sure that people are going to stay dry throughout the winter time. We had inches and inches and inches of rain, so people know where all their issues and problems are, and we're buttoning all those things up one by one by one by one. If you have an issue that hasn't been addressed, it's not going to get better this winter, okay? It's going to get worse this winter. You need to address it now. You need to take care of it. Call McRoof, call Carly at 405-877-7663. Get our inspector out there. Get our leak detector out there. Let's figure out what's going on and let's get it fixed before winter time. If you need to have a roof before winter time, and there are some of you out there that are in that boat, you've really cut it close. I don't know that we can get your roof done before winter time at this point, but we'll do everything for you we can. Carly, 405-877-7663.
And I need to remind everybody that S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 80000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing. All right, so, it's National Espresso Day
Wow.
and National Eat a Cranberry Day. Now, a single cranberry?
I don't know about that.
But I do like National
Cashew Day. Yeah, there you go.
It's also National Adoption Day.
I like that one too. I saw a story. I was looking at something. I don't know where it came up. I saw a story about a couple in Edmond that adopted 5 siblings.
Ooh, good for them.
I thought, oh my God, how wonderful is that?
All right, Dad's wisdom.
Dad's wisdom, and I think Chris alluded to this a little bit. If you can't afford to do the job right, you better be able to afford to do it again, or to pay for it again, or do. You know how that goes.
We hope everyone has a very happy Thanksgiving out there on Thursday.
Absolutely.
If you're driving, drive very carefully. If you're flying, good luck.
Turkey trotter, stay warm, buddy.
All right. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. That was Eric Yandell. He's Scott McCollum. We'll be back next week with another edition of McRoof Talks Insurance.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. You have a check that's missing somewhere.
Oh my goodness.
Because you cashed one, but you have another one that was
not
way,
cashed.
way before that.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'll